Unit 46: The Historical Development of the United States, from the War of Independence to the Civil War. Introduction. Imagine standing in the bustling streets of Philadelphia in 1776, where tension thickens the air as representatives debate the fate of a young nation. The dream of independence is no longer a distant aspiration, but an imminent reality. This is where the United States of America begins its journey, a journey marked by war, division, and the search for identity. From the War of Independence to the Civil War, the United States transformed from a cluster of British colonies into an independent yet deeply divided nation. The conflicts, ideological battles, and social transformations that occurred between 1776 and 1865 not only shaped the political landscape but also found expression in the literature of the time. Two seminal novels, The Scarlet Letter and The Red Badge of Courage, serve as literary reflections of this tumultuous era. Colonial America and the Road to Independence. Before 1776, the American colonies were an extension of European ambitions. The first English settlement in Jamestown, 1607, and the Pilgrim settlement in Plymouth, 1620, marked the beginning of British colonization. By the 18th century, 13 British colonies stretched along the eastern seaboard. Several factors fueled the colonies' desire for independence. Religious movements, such as the Great Awakening, 1730s to 1740s, unified colonies under a shared moral perspective. The French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, led Britain to impose heavy taxes on the colonies, fostering resentment. British-imposed taxes, the Sugar Act, 1764, Stamp Act, 1765, and Townshend Acts, 1767, deepened colonial grievances. The Boston Tea Party, 1773, was a direct act of defiance against British economic control. In response to growing unrest, the Continental Congress, 1774 to 1789, convened in Philadelphia. By July 4, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, primarily authored by Thomas Jefferson, proclaimed the birth of a new nation. The War of Independence, 1775 to 1783, and its aftermath. The War of Independence was initially a civil conflict but soon escalated into a global confrontation when France, 1778, Spain, 1779, and the Netherlands, 1780, joined against Britain. However, the new nation faced immediate challenges. Political uncertainty. The Articles of Confederation, 1781, established a weak central government. Economic struggles. The North focused on industry, while the South relied on agriculture and slavery. The Constitutional Convention, 1787, led to the drafting of the U.S. Constitution, implementing a federal system with executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Before the Civil War, a nation divided. Between 1820 and 1860, tensions between the North and South deepened. The main points of contention were: slavery. The South depended on slave labor, while the North moved toward industrialization and abolitionism. State sovereignty versus federal authority. The South advocated for states' rights, while the North prioritized national unity. Territorial expansion. The Missouri Compromise, 1820, and the Kansas-Nebraska Act, 1854, exacerbated regional disputes. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln's election triggered the secession of Southern states. South Carolina was the first to leave, followed by others, leading to the establishment of the Confederate States of America. The attack on Fort Sumter, 1861, marked the beginning of the Civil War. The Civil War, 1861 to 1865. The Civil War was the deadliest conflict in American history, fought between the Union, North, and the Confederacy, South. Key events include: the Battle of Gettysburg, 1863, a turning point where Union forces halted Confederate advances. The Emancipation Proclamation, 1863, Lincoln declared enslaved individuals in Confederate states free. General Ulysses S. Grant's victories, 1864 to 1865, led to the Confederate surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, 1865. The aftermath of the Civil War. The post-war era, 1865 to 1901, witnessed the abolition of slavery. The 13th Amendment, 1865, officially ended slavery. Reconstruction policies. The North implemented economic and social reforms in the South, leading to resentment. Industrial expansion. The U.S. transitioned into a leading industrial power. Literature and history. American literature evolved alongside these historical events. 3 literary periods stand out. Colonial literature, 1607 to 1776, primarily religious and historical writings by figures like John Smith and William Bradford. Revolutionary writers, 1776 to 1860, focused on democratic ideals, featuring authors like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Nathaniel Hawthorne. Realism and naturalism, 1865 to 1900, post-war literature depicted everyday struggles, best represented by Stephen Crane's The Red Badge of Courage. Main reference novels: The Scarlet Letter, 1850, Nathaniel Hawthorne. Set in 17th century Puritan New England, the novel follows Hester Prynne, who is publicly shamed for adultery. The novel critiques Puritan society and explores themes of guilt, redemption, and individualism. The Scarlet Letter, that Hester wears, symbolizes both sin and strength, making the novel a profound study of human nature and morality. The Red Badge of Courage, 1895, Stephen Crane. Although written decades after the Civil War, Crane's novel captures the psychological turmoil of war. It follows Henry Fleming, a young soldier who initially flees battle but later seeks redemption. The novel deconstructs the glorification of war, emphasizing fear, courage, and survival. Conclusion. The journey from independence to civil war was one of ideological and literal battles. The United States emerged from these struggles as a nation defined by resilience, division, and unity. The literature of this period not only recorded these events but also provided critical perspectives on the human condition. As Abraham Lincoln once said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." The Civil War tested this principle, but ultimately, the nation endured. Understanding this historical and literary evolution allows us to appreciate the complexities of American identity, a story still being written today.